Okay, kids, here's a lesson in planning and forethought and just common sense and thinking before you start doing something. I began to lay out the foundation for this smokehouse, and I didn't take into consideration the angle that it needed to be on. I was angling it properly toward the yard and not where the smoke tube needed to go, and it pretty well ran into a tree. So let me show you. So I wanted the front of the smokehouse to be accessible from this part of the yard, so I can just walk down here and get into the front of it. So that's where my thinking stopped, and I built it on that premise. However, this is where the smoke would be coming in. This is the front door, this would be the back. And as you see, it goes directly between these two white oak trees when it should be going down there. So I've misaligned my foundation going that way when it should be going that way. So now I have to remove all this stuff, regrade everything, and start over from the beginning. So, measure twice, cut once, kids. Think about what you're doing before you do it, and it'll save you some work. So now you see that's where the foundation was, and now we made it, just canted it a little bit to the left to make a straight shot down that alley there. I'll probably lose these two trees at some point anyway, but I just want a straight shot going that way, right down that alley. So I think just pouring it like this as just a plain slab without any kind of reinforcement should be okay. It's a smokehouse. So, you know me, I don't do things the way they probably should be done. Put that in there already. It's already very dry and cured. There's no rebar in there. I'm gonna go and finish it off with no rebar. It's only a 4x4 square, and it's just gonna hold a small, light building. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It's not gonna be a problem.
Good enough.
still sort of square. 66 and a half that way. Oh, 66 and a half again. So I left this gap in the back wall here. That way I can run a pipe out here and have a fire away from the house and do a cold smoke. And I guess all these gaps in these cinder blocks I'll just hit with some mortar. There's a pretty significant gap there. Like I said, these are all just reclaimed cinder blocks, so I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got on hand, and I'll just mortar them up, and that way this will be an entrance for the smoke to come in. Build that up about 3 blocks high, and then we'll put a sill plate on and start building the building from there. When we moved in down here last year, there was an old washing machine down in the shed down there, so I just disassembled it, took the drum out, and turned it into a fire pit for this year. It's perforated. It's perfect for a little fire. You lift it up off the ground and it gets plenty of airflow. It makes a perfect little place to sit down here in the evening, have a couple of drinks, and look at the woods and enjoy the fire, especially in the fall. So when we moved into this house out here, I knew I was going to have to learn a lot of things. And mortaring brick and stuff, I guess, is today's project. This is something I've never done before. I've never mortared brick or a cinder block, but you know, I've iced a cake before, so that's close. I think it's actually kind of close. I'm not doing a really good job. I understand that. If you have some advice for me, I'm sure you'll put it in the comments below down there. Just let me know what I'm doing wrong and how I can improve on the next project, because I'm just learning here. So I think what I've done will work. I'm square, I'm level, and I'm pretty sure that I can cobble this together and it'll work, and it'll be a bacon factory next year. So I'm excited about that. If you see anything critical, let me know. I mean, by the time I read your comments, it'll all be set, and it'll be too late. So I'll have to employ your suggestions in the next project. But for now, I think I'm doing all right. The outside's looking good. Like I said, there's an inset right here because these bricks are smaller than these thick ones that we are recycling from the ones we found down in the woods. But I think as long as the outside of the wall is flush, you have to sometimes take what seems to be a problem. I have mismatched bricks, but I think in this case, I can use it to my advantage, and this can be a shelf that I can use to put a metal grate on to throw a piece of meat on there or something, and that'll just be another shelf to smoke on. Got 3 courses of block laid. Everything's squared and leveled. There's a few little blemishes in there because I'm using reclaimed brick. I had to make some sacrifices and some things. Like there are some places like down there where there was a gap. I just filled it in. I'll just have to fill in these gaps with some more mortar, cement as I go. I did have to kind of redo that wall. I forgot to close that small hole in down there, and I was extending the hole all the way up. So I had to reconfigure that wall so that the hole was only on the bottom to let the smoke in. But all in all, it looks pretty good. Now I can just put the cement inside, let all that set, and then I can put my sill plates on and start building. So yeah, it's amateur, but you know what? I'm learning. This is the first time I've built anything like this, and I don't know, I'm gonna give myself credit for the first time I've done anything, and you know, it looks pretty decent. I'm gonna use that little overhang in the interior there for a shelf, for a rack, so that when the smoke comes in through the hole there, it'll come up through that shelf rack and smoke that meat. And so since I went to Lowe's this morning, I went ahead and threw in a couple of these square tiles and a little load of sand there. That's going to form the base of the smoke flue. And right now we're doing pretty good level. And it's just going to shoot back this way. Probably one more stone tile, and then I'll do about 2 more feet of fire brick where the actual fire is going to be. And then we'll build up around that, and that'll be our smoke chute going in. So I suppose I'm just going to call it a day on this and let it dry. I've got all the bolts set. I'm ready to go ahead and put down the sill plate and start building the building, but that'll be a few more weeks from now. I'm just going to take a break on this and focus on a few other things. One thing that did happen this week that I was pretty excited about, honestly, I've been on chip drop for about a year now and haven't gotten a drop, and then yesterday they finally showed up. So Chip Drop is an online service that you can sign up for where you can just tell them that you would like to have an arborist bring up some wood chips whenever they're finished chipping up some trees, and they'll just deliver it for you for free. Because we live out in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to get them to come out here. They always take it to people that are closer to in town. But yesterday, somehow I popped up on their radar and they brought me one right away, and check this out. We got wood chips. Now I can do some stuff. They have an option whether you can get just chips or chips with a few logs in it. I figured if I went ahead and said, yeah, sure, I'll take a few logs, they'll probably bring it to me faster. It only took a year, but I got some and some logs. It's pretty good. I can use the logs in the wood. I can use the logs on the trail down in the woods, and the wood chips will find a home all over the place. So this is good stuff. I've been buying wood chips in bags at Lowe's for the garden, and it's getting really expensive, obviously. This is a godsend. So thank you, Chip Drop.